My ex, Jess, 43 female, was my 43 male prom date, and our first child, Adam, 24 male, was the result of our prom night. Jess and my parents took care of Adam while I was away for college. After I got my engineering degree, Jess, Adam and I moved to a new city. We got married, and our almost adult daughter, Leslie, joined us as well. Honestly, our relationship was, I would say, 90% good times up until 8 years ago. 8 years ago, my ex's gym teacher seduced her and they had an affair. I learned about the affair 7 months after it started. She asked me to forgive her and said she would never see him again, but it was a big fat lie. One of my co-workers saw them together 8 months after we reconciled, and after that I was done. To no one's surprise, the gym teacher didn't stick it out with her. She, for the first time in her life, had to get a job because apparently my alimony payments were not enough for her. In this job, she met another guy, Will, 54. She moved in with Will soon after she started at this job. By then, we were already divorced and co-parenting. Will impregnated her. She never wanted to have a third child with me. Their relationship lasted for 3 years, and after that, Will was done for some reason. During all this, I tried my best to be the rock of my kids. My son Adam is a brilliant and studious guy. He got an excellent scholarship, and I was glad he was away for college during most of the drama. I tried to shield my daughter as much as possible, but me and my ex failed in that regard. Will tried to force her to call him her daddy, and my ex filled her head with some lies about me being awful. But by the time Will left my ex, my daughter was, and still is, on my side. Anyway, Jess and her daughter moved in with some roommates, but apparently they were no good either. I flat out refused to send my daughter even close to that house when they first moved in. The problem? In recent months, my unemployed ex, who is living with stipends from her family and child support, alimony expired last year, asked my son to help her live her life now that Adam is done with his master's degree. But Adam's part-time work while doing his PhD doesn't pay enough, and he also has a living girlfriend who is also studying. Adam asked me if his mom and his sister can move in with us. His argument is that I owe her because she raised him while I was away for college. My parents did mostly. His sister needs her, she doesn't really care, she cares more about Fortnite than her mother, and he needs to focus on his life, so it's up to me to help him in that regard. He also said his half-sister's father is an abuser and she should never move in with him. I fail to see how that is my problem. I flat out refused, said he must be mad if he thinks I will let my cheating ex-wife to my house. My son, whom I love very much, told me if I can't even make this one sacrifice for him, what good am I as a father? He said that this PhD and his girlfriend get all the attention he can give right now and he can't take care of his mom, who's living 300 kilometers away. He gave me an ultimatum that he will never forgive me if I don't let his mom move into my 3 stories house. I tried to call him back after our initial conversation, but he's not budging. How can I convince him that I can't do what he asks? Let him disown you. What your son is asking is entirely unreasonable. He needs to understand that his mom is a big girl who should be capable of taking care of herself and likely could if she just quit making stupid choices. It's not your job to take care of his mom. It's not his job to take care of her either. She needs a job and child support from her youngest child's father. If he's abusive, your son should report him to CPS. What you can do is wish him good luck in life and hope he achieves his dreams, that you're proud of him, but you won't under any circumstance throw away your dignity and self-respect to take in and take care of your lying, cheating, and manipulating ex. While you understand his stance, his stepsis, she is not your problem. You should ask him if his current girlfriend got pregnant and 8 years later decided to be intimate with her gym teacher or co-worker, and you gave her a chance, and she was still seeing the affair partner behind his back, would he throw away his self-respect and dignity if his child demanded he takes them in because reasons? For someone as smart as your son, he does sound like a special kind of stupid. No offense to you, but I'm telling it how it is. It's Will's responsibility to provide for his daughter. Your responsibility to Jess ends at whatever was decided in the divorce. Whatever sacrifices she made after Adam was born were considered then. Adam is trying to emotionally blackmail you into supporting his mom. Keeping your daughter safe is your only responsibility here. Adam is an adult. He's also welcome to get a full-time job and support his mom if he feels that strongly about it. My daughter loves pizza. Her favorite is pepperoni. Eating from restaurants is obviously not healthy, so I've been trying to master all homemade types of pizza with different toppings and flavors. She loves the pizza I make for her and says it's special because Mommy made it. My husband, my daughter's stepdad, hates meat. He eats vegan meals and has his own fridge to avoid meat products, but the fridge needs fixing and yet to be returned. Yesterday was her birthday. We wanted to celebrate in the evening. Everything was ready. I decided to make pizza for her to eat at dinner. I started from scratch. I like everything made at home. I limit the usage of our canned products and go for natural flavors. I added a mixture of pepperoni and sausage, her favorite, and mozzarella cheese. I left it on the counter, then I went to pick up my daughter at 4. My husband was home at the time. A few family members came as well. During the celebration, I went into the kitchen and found the pizza was gone. I quietly asked my husband to come into the kitchen for a minute and asked him about it. He said he took it to our neighbour since it was left in the kitchen with a strong smell of meat in it that he couldn't stand. I blew up. I said I made this for my daughter's birthday dinner and he shouldn't have given it to our neighbour. He said he felt sorry for the old guy and my daughter shouldn't eat so much meat anyway. I confronted him about the real reason why he gave the pizza away, since we don't usually give neighbours food. He denied, saying it had nothing to do with his hate for meat. I pulled out the remaining dough I had and demanded that he started baking a replacement pizza for the one he gave away. Gave him instructions on how he should pre-cook the sausage and pepperoni for later use, and the sauce as well. He refused, saying I couldn't make him touch meat. He said he could order from the restaurant in a minute, but I refused. Then asked if I could handle the meat part, but my answer was to decline. He got to work after complaining for 10 minutes, then after he was done, he looked upset and quiet in front of everybody. The pizza wasn't perfect, but at least it had my daughter's favourite ingredients. He started arguing after the guests left, looking grossed out, saying the smell of meat on his hands won't go away, and that he can't even eat anymore after I made him touch meat. I told him he shouldn't have touched the pizza I made earlier, but he said I was cruel and obviously have no respect for him as a person with choices and boundaries and was punishing him like a 14-year-old with my attitude. I might be at fault for not even compromising, but it's not okay to do that. He says he needs an apology for what I did. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Why are you allowing this disrespect? He threw something away that wasn't for him, and now he's mad at you? I feel bad OP has to now raise 2 children. Yeah, can we get the husband a pacifier? Right? He's throwing a tantrum or being a spoiled teenager, now my hands smell like meat, ugh. If someone is against something, it doesn't give them the right to make decisions for other people. Throwing away food, not wanting it touching his food, or complain if other people have different opinions. This is real life. He can't force people to convert into his ways because he's destroyed your possessions. I don't smell anything, OP. I smell justice, and I also smell a whiny baby. Not the idiot. Why are you married to this guy? He doesn't sound like a good partner for you or a role model for your children. His choice does not span any further than himself, yet he made the decision to basically sabotage your daughter's birthday treat because of it. He's grown. He ought to know better. If he didn't want to touch meat to remake it, he shouldn't have touched the food you prepared for her. Seriously, I cannot believe what your husband did. What kind of grown adult gets rid of a child's special homemade from scratch birthday dinner because he personally doesn't like it? And then demands an apology from you? Only a massively self-centered, self-absorbed idiot of the highest magnitude does something like that. You don't owe him an apology at all. You owe your daughter an apology for bringing such a massive jerk into her life. I feel sorry for your daughter. My husband and I live close to a top 10 university. It's a very expensive area. My nephew, when applying to universities, asked if he could live with us. We agreed to give him the studio flat above our garage for £150 a month. The average studio in the area is £600 to £800, so we felt like we were doing him a huge favour and thought he understood that. He moved in September. My husband has a back issue that makes bending over painful, so when I saw the new Nikes, I got really excited as the idea is you just step into the shoes. My husband was equally excited because he has a few similar items, but they're either uncomfortable, don't fit properly, or look like crap. I ordered a pair as soon as they were available, and by some miracle I got them. A few weeks ago I caught my nephew taking pictures of them. He said he wanted to show his friends. A couple of days later the shoes were gone. I asked my nephew to help me look, but he said he couldn't as he was going to the post office. Spidey senses started tingling, so I asked him a few questions, and he tripped himself up very quickly. He admitted to selling the shoes online, and his trip to the post office was to send them off. I took the shoes back and told him to cancel the transaction. He refused. We argued. I asked him to leave. He then began apologizing, but I held firm and he left that same day. He's moved back in with his mum, my sister. His uni is online for now, but should be in person by September, so he's talking about dropping out of the university nearest me and transferring to the uni nearest him, which is in the bottom 10 universities in the country, out of 130. I feel that he's an adult. He should know that stealing is wrong. A significant amount of my family, however, have contacted me to say that I'm ruining my nephew's life, that he's a dumb kid, and that without my help he will go from one of the best unis in the country to one of the worst over one little mistake that he's apologised for. His mother has been his strongest champion, saying he apologised and that should be enough. My nephew himself has called me saying that it was one dumb mistake, he apologised. He can't go back to the good uni without my help and doesn't deserve to have his life ruined over this. He's offered to pay more rent, not market rate but maybe £300, and pointed out that due to the setup of the flat, we'll never get to interact with him anyway and can keep him out of the house, but he needs to stay with us to complete his studies. I've said he should have thought of how badly he needed our help before he tried to steal from us. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. You're not doing anything to ruin his future. He did that himself by stealing. Imagine if he was renting from a random person and they caught him trying to steal. They probably would have called the police. He's lucky you didn't. As the saying goes, don't bite the hand that feeds you. Not the idiot. What really got me here was that when he got caught and you asked him to cancel the transaction, he initially refused. That is something else. It's one thing to make a stupid mistake, although to sell an accessibility advice such as shoes that help your husband deal with his pain is abhorrent, but then to double down when caught is not a good look at all. Also, this mistake was fully calculated. And also, what a classist argument they have. You are not ruining your nephew's life. He will be just fine at the other school. Not the idiot. He's a thief and he almost got away with it. It's no laughing matter to steal something from someone, especially when something helps with a much-needed accessibility issue, like your husband needing better shoes. An apology doesn't make up for a crime. What he did was wrong, and now he needs to face those consequences. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. My 33 female husband's 33 oldest sister Rachel, 41, loves to stop by so her kids can spend time with my kids. Rachel can be annoying, but she and my husband have a good relationship, and I always wanted to cultivate healthy relationships with everyone. But last weekend I hit a breaking point and caused some added damage than was already done, potentially. So my youngest is 6 and he has sensory issues. He has many issues with clothes. Can't wear certain fabrics, can't stand socks, even needs special underwear, and would go around naked if he could. Sister-in-law has always been into knitting sweaters and gives them as gifts. She also has gifted clothes to the kids before. We explained many times about our son, and my husband has said while we appreciate the gifts, he can't wear them without being driven crazy. So she was looking through some photos while she was here last weekend. My husband was working. She commented that none of the holiday pictures had him in the sweater and that he never wears the clothes she buys. I was a little frustrated but tried to explain it as easily as I could. She then told me she had something for him, pulled out a pair of space socks and said they would be perfect for him in his interest in space. I told her he couldn't wear them and they drive him crazy. She told me we cater too much to him, that he should be made to wear what people buy and make for him, and I'm not being a good parent letting him go through life rejecting clothes. I lost it. I told her that if I'm a bad mother, then she's a terrible person for judging me while all I'm doing is my best, and for constantly pushing to get her way. I told her we'd explain things as clearly as we possibly could. We've been over this for 3 years now, and she's still not willing to open her mind to the possibility that we're all just doing our best. She told me good parents help their kids be better, and I told her to take her kids and leave because she was no longer welcome in my home. My husband was annoyed with his sister when he heard what went down, and he heard on his lunch break because she sent him 30 messages and left 3 voicemails on his phone. The rest of the family says I shouldn't have treated her like that in front of the kids, and kicking the kids out was wrong. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Thanks for standing up for your kids' sensory issues. I didn't have that growing up and I can still feel awful tights on my legs, scratchy dresses, no stretch pants. Ugh. I'm 35 and I buy my favourite clothes in multiples because they feel good. You can tell your sister-in-law to go jump off a bridge. Forcing people with sensory issues to wear certain clothes is a special kind of torture. You would think she would take the hint after 3 years of explaining it to her in plain English that the son cannot wear her gifts. Enough is enough. She showed absolutely no consideration for the son's sensory issues, and the nerve of her pushing her ideology of what constitutes a bad parent just because you allow him to wear what is most comfortable. She can take her snarky butt and her unwanted gifts back with her. Not the idiot. Isn't it funny that the people who bug you repeatedly are always the same people who are shocked Pikachu face when you hit your limit and go off, and somehow always blame you for it? I was only trying to help you. You didn't have to lash out for such a small thing. You're too sensitive. How they manage to paint the picture in their mind as them being the victim of the situation appalls me. 3 years ago, I found out my toddler daughter was not mine. I'd been in a long-term relationship and I was going to get married to my girlfriend, but my brother desperately wanted to make sure my daughter was mine. I did it for his sake and found out she was not, and I was completely heartbroken. My girlfriend at the time told me it was a one-night stand and it didn't mean anything, and for all intents and purposes, I was the father. I went into a very depressed state. Due to my mental well-being and my brother, he's a lawyer, I got my name removed from the birth certificate. Every time I looked at her, something broke in me, and I could no longer keep her in my life. It was selfish, but I would have died if I didn't. I have now moved on and met my wife and just had my first son. Life has been good for me. I finally see the light again. My ex, however, passed away. It was a shock to me, but with years of therapy, I was able to continue. The CPS worker informed me that her daughter has been diagnosed with separation anxiety and severe depression and has stated she wants to live with me. She's older now, but I'm not sure if I can have a relationship with her. A few years ago, I nearly took my life by just looking at her. Should I take her in and restart the relationship she is clearly starving for? Personally, blood is a very minor issue when it comes to being a parent. The girl lost her mom. You are the closest thing to a parent for her. I would take her in and love her like my own rather than let her be a victim of the system. You would be amazed how much being selfless can improve your mental state. The cheating won't matter after a while. She would just be your daughter. This is really tough. Can you have a relationship with her without spiraling back into those old feelings? What does your wife think? Taking in a foster child is really hard. I speak from experience. What about any family on her mother's side? I would hate for you to restart the relationship, bring her into your family, your wife and son get attached, and then a blood relative comes along and she has to go with them. There are a lot of things to consider. I hope you talk to a therapist about this and come to some sort of resolution that brings you peace. No blood relative wants her. She only has a distant aunt, I think. My wife is still in limbo. I know she wants to help the girl, but she's not willing to entertain it if it comes at a cost to my son or me. You have a far larger battle with yourself to undergo that has nothing to do with the girl. If someone cheating on you and getting pregnant makes you feel that way, I'm sorry to say, many things in life will leave you feeling that way. Life is hard, but it isn't the obstacles you face, it's how you deal with them and supersede the typical reaction to awful situations.